Hey, what up, guys? Doing another What's Next. This is on Emanuel Navarrete, the WBO Super Bantamweight World Champion right now. He's currently my number 3 Super Bantamweight in the world. That's 122 pounds as we start all the number 3s in boxing. So Navarrete, he last fought in February on the Wilder Fury undercard. He took on some little-known Filipino fighter, scored an 11th round TKO victory, injured his hand, but was set to come back on the Wilder Fury 3 card, which was supposed to take place originally in July. Now that fight's been pushed back likely to the late summer or fall. Definitely should happen for the end of the year. But, there's been talks of Navarrete moving up to 126. Well, he said he wanted to defend his title one more time, but Navarrete struggles to find opposition. Ever since his back-to-back wins over Dogbe in December of 2018 and then May of last year, 2019, he's made, I believe, 4 defenses. Starting in August, he got a win. Then he returned 3 weeks later and got a win. He returned in September. Then in December, he returned and got a win. And then in February, he got a win. So he's made, in total, he's made 5 successful defenses, 4 since beating Dogbe. But they've all been low-level opposition because he's with Top Rank and he's the only guy in the top 10 that is with Top Rank. And nobody's just willing to cross the street in this division and fight. Bob Arum's been trying to build him up as best he can, but right now, just not a lot of things, not a lot of options going his way. But let's see what could be possible for what looks to be maybe possibly his last fight at 122 pounds. So let's see what's next for Emanuel Navarrete. We start with number 1, a unification bout with undefeated IBF champion Murajan Akhmadayev. Not going to happen. Akhmadayev is a mandatory due against Reske Iwasa. That's his IBF mandatory, as Iwasa is the IBF interim champion. So no way, in my opinion, this fight happens. Number 2, Daniel Roman. If Daniel Roman likes to fight anybody, if Roman would be willing to go to ESPN and take on Navarrete, I think the fight's very possible. But, Matchroom has options for Roman and that are less risky. He's also the WBC's number 1 contender right now, so he's in line, and he could get back in line for a rematch with Akhmadayev. So I just don't see it. I mean, I'd like to see the fight, but I don't think this is a possibility. I think too many hoops to jump through, and they have to cross the street, and I don't see that happening. Number 3 is Navarrete. Number 4 is undefeated WBC champion Ray Vargas. He's with the PBC now. PBC and Top Rank working together to unify belts. I don't see it, especially with Vargas having other options, like if Iwasa pulls off the upset over Akhmadayev, or a unification with Brandon Figueroa if Figueroa beats Ronnie Rios, which most people feel he will. So I just think it's not worth it for Vargas to cross the street. That's how he's going to see it, and the PBC is going to see it. So I don't believe this fight is possible right here. Number 4 is number 4 was Vargas. Number 5 is IBF interim champion, former world champion Reske Iwasa. I'm not seeing this one either. Iwasa's a good fighter, but he's in line. He has a mandatory title shot due against unified champ Murajan Akhmadayev next, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be what happens next for Iwasa. So him and Navarrete wouldn't be possible. Number 6 is contender as Havanassian. Now this one's interesting. I know Golden Boy and Top Rank really don't work together too much, and I really don't think the fight's likely to happen, but I think it's a good option. I think Navarrete versus Havanassian would be a huge fucking fight in terms of just a slugfest and a war, and it would be great, and that's what fans want to see, so why not do it? But I don't think Arum wants to risk Navarrete. I think Golden Boy would be down because Havanassian's desperate for opposition. Nobody seems to want to fight him. He's also the boogeyman of the division between him and Navarrete. So why not fight each other? But I just don't think the two sides are going to come together to make the fight. So it sucks because it would be a great one. Number 7 is undefeated WBA champion Brandon Figueroa. He's the regular champ. Not going to happen. He's facing Ronnie Rios in a mandatory title fight next, so not going to happen. Number 8 is Ronnie Rios. Not going to happen. He's facing Brandon Figueroa in a mandatory title fight next, so no chance here. Number 9 would be Navarrete versus Emanuel Baluta. This might be the most possible opponent in the top 10 because Bob Arum is always willing to go grab somebody with, you know, not that big of a name. Baluta somewhat has a name now. He upset TJ Doheny in March by an 8-round decision and is now broken into my top 10. So why not, when they re-rank people, you know, let Baluta pay the WBO to get into their rankings, and then boom, let Navarrete choose him to be his next opponent, you know, to stay busy. And, you know, it would make sense. And to me, that's the more likely option of anybody in the top 10 probably, because, you know, Baluta is probably looking for a title shot next or something bigger. So we'll see. And then finally, number 10 is former champ TJ Doheny. I doubt he wants anything to do with Navarrete coming off of a loss and an upset loss to Baluta. So I really don't see it. So what do I think Navarrete's going to do next? I'm hoping that he gets somebody in the top 10 like Havanassian or Baluta next, at least somebody that's actually in the top 10. If not, I hope he makes a mandatory defense. There's Albert Pagara only lost one fight. He's rated number 1 in the WBO right now, but WBO hasn't redone their rankings yet. So I'm hoping that that's possible, but I don't know, to be honest. So we'll see. But personally, I think he's probably just going to stay busy for another fight and then move up to 126, sadly. But I hope Navarrete can get a big fight before that. Oh, the other option is he says he wants to face the monster Naoya Inoue next, who won the World Boxing Super Series at 118. Inoue's going to fight in a unification bout, I believe. And his next one he was supposed to, but it looks like Bob Arum said that fight's getting put on the back burner now. So Navarrete did mention the other day that he wants to face Inoue before he moves it to 126, because Inoue has made it clear that he wants to move up to 122. So we'll see what happens. But that's it. That's the what's next on Emanuel Navarrete, the WBO Super Bantamweight champion and my number 4 Super Bantamweight in the world. I hope you enjoyed this. True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.